In today's video, I'll show you the difference between a cheap shoe and an expensive one. Why does one last 20 years while the other one barely survives 2, even though they kind of look the same? We'll talk about where the price difference comes from, how to spot real quality, and why a good shoe pays off in the long run, even for your wallet. Let's start at the top, the upper. The biggest difference between a $100 shoe and a $600 shoe is often the leather. With high quality shoes, you get full grain calf. This is the top layer of the hide. It's firm, breathable, and durable. Heinrich Dinkelacker, a traditional German shoe brand for example, uses fine box calf, which is an especially fine-grained calf leather tanned in French heritage tanneries like Tannerie de Puy. It's not only sleek and elegant, it's also particularly hard-wearing. For more rugged models, you'll often see embossed Scotch grain, or for the connoisseurs, true shell cordovan. That's horsehide with a dense, waxy surface that's water-resistant, scratch-resistant, and practically indestructible. The best shell cordovan comes from Horween in Chicago, one of the oldest and most prestigious cordovan tanneries in the world. Suede from kudu or calf is also very popular, with that soft, napped look. Quality makes a huge difference here. Good suede develops character. Cheap suede turns shiny and shapeless fast. And then there are the exotics like ostrich or buffalo. Definitely advanced class and not for beginners. Whatever leather is used, every piece should be inspected and cut by hand. That's the only way the upper truly adapts to your foot over time, not the other way around. Shoemaking is still a craft and it needs real handwork. Back to the comparison. Cheap shoes cut costs brutally on materials. Instead of full grain, you often see so-called corrected grain. The surface is sanded down and sealed with dye or plastic. It looks smooth at first glance, but the shoe can't breathe. It won't develop patina, and cracks will come sooner than you'd like. Even worse is split leather. That's basically the lower layer of the hide. Thin, soft, and tears quickly. And if you find a really cheap shoe where the price doesn't match the looks, chances are it isn't leather at all, but straight up synthetic. How do you spot it? It shines unnaturally, often feels slick or plasticky, and when you bend it, there's no spring in the material. Real leather has structure, irregularities, and resistance. It's a natural product. It lives and changes. Cheap leather or faux leather feels dead, and that's exactly how it wears. By the way, I can talk all day, but to turn this video into something that helps even more men, I'd be thrilled about a like, a follow, or a comment, because that is the only way to make sure more men learn to put their money to good use. On to the next crucial point, and that is the construction. The biggest quality factor in a truly good shoe is the make, and that is how the shoe is put together. Cheap shoes are almost always cemented. Cemented means the upper is simply glued to a thin insole board, and then the outsole, the part that touches the ground, is glued on top. No stitching and therefore no real path to repair. And what I mean by that is, if something comes apart or wears through, it's game over. The shoe can't be repaired and has to be replaced. Depending on how hard you are on your shoe, that might even happen after 3 years or even earlier. A Goodyear welted shoe, on the other hand, is a small work of art made of precisely layered components. First, there's the insole, the foundation your foot rests on. In high quality shoes, it's sturdy leather. In cheap pairs, it's often flimsy foam or even cardboard. No joke. Then comes the welt, a robust leather strip that runs around the shoe. It's actually stitched to both insole and upper, not glued. And that is the trick, because this welt forms the connection to the outsole, the bottom layer that meets the ground and wears down over time. Since the outsole is stitched only to the welt and not directly to the upper, it can be replaced later without damaging the rest of the shoe. This is where you really feel how much craftsmanship goes into a quality shoe. In a well-made and therefore more expensive shoe, the Goodyear construction is executed at a level that's rare today. A single pair can go through up to 300 individual steps by hand. The welt is stitched to upper and insole first, then the outsole is attached. This double stitching gives stability but also flexibility, a combo mass production struggles to deliver. Between insole and outsole, there should be a layer of natural cork. It cushions and forms a custom footbed over time. The shoe basically molds to your foot, not the other way around. That's why Goodyear welted shoes are not only durable, but comfortable. And when needed, you swap the outsole without the rest suffering. That makes this construction not just premium, but sustainable. As I said, it's called Goodyear welted. It gives stability and turns the shoe into a real companion. With proper care and a new sole every few years, it'll easily last 15 to 20 years or even more. We'll come back to this later, but I hope it is dawning on you. 3 years versus at least 15? Big difference, right? To be fair and avoid making it sound too black and white, there's an in-between, Blake stitch shoes. Here, the outsole is stitched directly to the insole, not welted. That makes the shoe slimmer, more flexible, and cheaper to produce. The downside is the stitch runs inside the shoe, which makes it more sensitive to moisture. Repairs are also trickier because you're working right into the guts. Still, for many it's a great compromise, especially in the mid-price segment. Now to the part that takes the most beating and gets the least attention, the sole. Cheap shoes often have foamed soles. Sounds fancy, but it isn't. The plastic, usually EVA or PU, gets injected with tiny air bubbles. That makes the sole light and soft, almost like a sneaker, but also unstable and not very durable. It wears down quickly, you end up leaning, and when it comes loose, that's it. No stitching means no repair. Quality shoes, on the other hand, use stitched rubber soles from the likes of Day-Night, Vibram or Commando. They're solid, water-resistant, and last for years. Even better, leather soles. Either from a thick pit-tanned leather slab or built up in layers. They're stable, elegant, and easy to resole. Part of the sole unit is the heel, which can expose a cheap shoe or elevate a good one. On cheap pairs, it's just a single rubber block slapped on the back and call it a day. On high quality shoes, the heel is built from multiple leather lifts. Properly stacked, nailed, and often finished with a separate top lift. What's a top lift? It's a top piece of the heel, the surface your heel strikes when you walk. Usually it's made of rubber or leather and you can replace it on its own once it's worn. And another tell, on cheap shoes, the whole heel is often one molded piece. When it wears out, your only option is buying a new one. Short version. On a quality shoe, even the part you wear down the most is designed to rebuild. That is the difference. How should that look on an expensive shoe by a good brand? Top quality starts at the base. Instead of some random rubber block, some shoemakers use traditionally pit-tanned sole leather sourced from the most renowned tanneries. In Europe, that's for example Rendenbach or Kilga. In the US, that is for example Horween in Chicago or Wickett in Craig. In Europe at least, the leather matures for up to 9 months in natural tanning agents like oak or mimosa bark. The result is water-resistant, flexible, and extremely durable. Exactly what you want if a shoe is meant to look good and stick with you for years and decades. With brands like the German heritage maker Heinrich Dinkelacker, you also get details that are almost only possible by hand. And that is multi-layered leather soles, hand-set brass nails, sometimes over 150 per pair, and, depending on the model, a 6-nail pattern or even a brass toe plate. Even the sole edges are hand-trimmed and waxed. Onto the part you can't see at first glance, but you feel the second you wear the shoe. That is the inside. Cheap shoes often have a lining made of faux leather or coated textile. It usually has a slight shine, feels slick and plasticky, and rubs off after a few months. You'll also notice it by the smell, synthetic instead of refined. A quality shoe, by contrast, is fully lined with real leather, usually fine calf. You'll notice it because it feels warm, smooth and sturdy. And over time it just molds to your foot. It's breathable, durable, comfortable, and won't stink. But the last of the shoe is just as crucial. It decides whether the shoe fits you at all. The last is what the form of the shoe is built on, meaning the key to the fit. A good last considers whether you have wide feet, high insteps, or a narrow heel. A bad last rubs, pinches, or makes the shoe look like a brick with laces. There are big differences. An English last tends to be rounder and more robust. Italian lasts are slimmer, more elegant, sometimes a bit too ambitious, which, yes, is a little jab at Santoni. With love. You can spot a good shoemaker by the fact that they offer diverse lasts for different feet. If a brand gives you not just different models, but different lasts, that's a quality marker. And how do you find the right last for you? Honestly, you have to try them on. You'll know pretty quickly if it fits. And if you keep having the same pressure point, it's not your foot, it's the wrong last for you. So on to the question, why aren't cheap shoes a bargain? It's simple. They might look fine at first, but they're missing everything that makes quality. No good leather, no stitch construction, no repair path. The sole is usually just glued, the insides are faux leather or cardboard, and once something's done, you toss them, period. Now let's do the math. A cheap shoe costs, let's say, $150, and that's being generous. Usually they're even more expensive. All those $30 to $40 shoes from Shein, Temu, and Light in the Box, please toss those aside. They are not an option. That $150 shoe lasts you, if you're lucky, around 3 years. And that is, again, very generous. After 15 years, in this case, you've bought 5 pairs, which is $750. All of them end up in the trash after those 15 years. A high-quality Goodyear welted shoe costs you, depending on the leather of course, starting at around $600 to $700, often more. With a bit of care and an occasional resole, it'll last you 15 to 20 years, often even much longer. And it actually looks better as it ages. That's the fun part. That means buy cheap, buy twice. Short-term bargains cost you more in the long run, they're less comfortable, you build no relationship or responsibility towards your wardrobe, and you generate a ton of waste, not to mention what it does to your feet. And final takeaway of the video, what does that mean for you? Buy cheap, buy twice. We need to keep that front of mind. Building a consistent, timeless wardrobe isn't something you knock out in a few weeks or months. That's where the fun is. It's a journey where we do our homework, identify brands, and fall in love with products. That only works if there's enough history behind them and real effort put into making them. Buy once, cry once. That's the goal. I've linked a few options for you guys in the video description, but as you know, the comment section under videos like this, the kind you find when you're really trying to make a good decision, can be worth its weight in gold. So help each other out. If you know great brands and have had great experiences, drop them in the comments. Hey guys, and by the way, if you've seen this and you're asking yourself what that is on the wall, that is a new format I've implemented because I had my birthday lately and I just hate birthdays. I don't like celebrating my birthday. I don't know, it just feels wrong. I don't like it. I don't like to celebrate myself, at least not yet. Once I'm successful, I might, but right now it just feels wrong. And so I implemented a format because my wife loves to celebrate her birthday. Or birthdays in general, and she's always down or sad that I never want to do anything on my birthday, not even going out for dinner. And so I implemented a new format called Happy Birthday to My Birthday, meaning when my birthday came, I surprised her. I had some activities she had to do, take pictures with her colleagues, pretend it's her birthday or someone else's birthday. I made activity cards for her, all of that stuff. To make her have a good day, and then she got a present at the end of the day. And yeah, maybe I'll show you some of that stuff in the next outro, but it was a lot of fun. But I can only recommend you guys, if it's your wife, your girlfriend, your partner, whoever it is, if you do something like that, they'll love you. I think it's just a really cool gesture. It doesn't have to be on your birthday, maybe you like your birthday, I don't know, but just surprise someone by doing stuff like that. I think it's a game changer for the whole relationship. She had such a great day. I even was looking forward to my birthday because, like I said, I wanted to surprise her. That was a special day, it was fun. Happy birthday to my birthday. Hey guys. And if you watched this far, I gotta tell you, I absolutely appreciate it. It's so rare in these days that people watch a video for such a long time, take their time, take the effort. It's truly special, so thank you. So, see you in the next video, your style consultant. This chair is making me nuts.